Good morning, dear friends. I am Colonel Padmanabhan. Today I shall be talking about women empowerment in the armed forces. India is an emerging economic power standing fourth position, that is after USA, Russia, and China. Women empowerment is an indispensable necessity for the sustainable development of any nation. The principle of gender equality has been enshrined in our constitution in its preamble, its fundamental duties, uh, the directive principles. It starts with we the people of India, thereby highlighting the gender equality. Women in the past were denied access to education, healthcare, and economical and political decision making process. They were victims of violence and discrimination. If I may define women empowerment as a layman, it is basically equipping and allowing women to make life determining decisions, also entitled to live in dignity and freedom from fear and freedom from want. This can be only achieved by raising the status by education and training and offering equal opportunities in all walks of life. There has been a marked shift in the approach from the government side during the fifth five-year plan, that is from in the year 1974 and 1978. There is a transition has been from welfare to the development. The 73-74 constitutional amendment has given or provided seats to the women in the local bodies like panchayat, municipality, and corporation like. The Hindu Code, the Kamala Act, they provided rights to girls. The government has also decreed that given a policy decision or an ordinance that what you call dowry is illegal. And also the Hindu Succession Act, Hindu Marriage Act, the Muslim Marriage Act, and Muslim Special Marriage Act, like the Triple Act. These are all the initiative from the government side to improve the or to empower the women. Apart from the government initiatives, there are non-governmental organizations which are also working towards women empowerment. One of them is Lions Club International. This is spread amongst 210 countries, having a membership of 1.4 million members. And on 4th March 2017, the international president of Lions Club, he signed a memorandum of understanding with the United Nations to work on the gender equality and also to empower women and girls. And in India, there are 6,335 Lions Club having a membership of 2,35,000. And here I would like to make a mention about Dr. Sujitra Sudhir, a gynecologist by profession. She is the area spokesperson for the New Voices. And this great lady has been tirelessly working for the empowerment of women throughout Kerala. Women since time immemorial has proved their mettle on par with the men for in all walks of life. Few of the women leaders in this regard are firstly Kalpana Chawla, Indira Gandhi, Sarojini Naidu, Indira Nooyi, that is the Pepsi CEO, Arundhati Roy, the Booker Prize winner and also the social activist, then Mary Kom, Medha Petkar, Captain Lakshmi Sehgal, the leader of the women contingent of the INA, then the Kiran Bedi IPS, then Iram Sharmila, Seema Rao, the only women commando trainer in India, Sushma Swaraj, Barka Dutt, etc., etc., etc. There was a landmark judgment from the Honorable Supreme Court in February this year to grant permanent commission to women officers and also to make them command troops. The argument put forward by the government in this regard are firstly, soldiers are not ready to accept orders from women officers. They find it as disturbing. Secondly, the family demands. Thirdly, the patriarchal societal norms. Fourthly, the composition of rank and file. They are basically from the rural background, and they are not mentally schooled to accept women officers as commanders. Lastly, the challenges faced by women officers as prisoners of war due to the past incidents. Although the Geneva Convention Chapter 13, which was formulated during the year 1949, they prohibit mutilation, torture, outrages upon personal dignity, and execution without judgment. You know how our adversary treats the prisoners of war during the operations. The recent example, how Captain Saurabh Kalia and squadron leader Ajay Ahoja, they were treated during the Kargil war is an example. You are all aware of it. If you look back into our history, that is basically during the British era, how the women, brave warriors, they fought tooth and nail against the British Raj, sacrificing their life and getting martyred for the freedom of our nation. Their brave acts prove that actually that whatever arguments government had against the trying to justify the Supreme Court is totally wrong. A couple of brave women marriages during that period are firstly Begum Hasrat Mahal, Rani Lakshmi Bai, Azizun Bai, Rani Avandi Bai, Jalkari Bai, Rani Velu Nachiyar, Onaka Obawa, Kittur Chennamma, Keladi Chennamma, Abbaka Rani, Chan Bibi, Punyarcha, a brave warrior of North Malabar during the 16th century. During the period, the thugs and the Mapilas of North Malabar, they were kidnapping or abducting the teenage girls from the houses, and they were being exploited. And this brave lady sorted them out and set them right and became a legend in North Malabar. Still, people talk about this brave warrior. Now, coming to the representation of women in the armed forces, Indian Air Force has got maximum, that is 13.09%, whereas Indian Navy has got only 6%, Indian Army the lowest 3.8%. If you compare with the world nations, the China has got 4.5%, America 16%, Russia 10%, and you will be surprised to know North Korea has got 40%. Now coming to the chronological development, women in the Indian Army, Indian Armed Forces started way back in 1888. That is when the Indian Military Nursing Service was formed by the British. During 1914 to 1945, that is during the First World War and the Second World War, during the entire period, these women military nursing officers, they fought for the British Raj. During the period, about 350 military nurses, they were either killed, lost in action, or taken prisoners of war. In 1942, the Women Auxiliary Corps was formed, and it got disbanded in 1947. Basically, aim was to contribute towards the World War II, and also during the period, even civilian women were enrolled as nurses, and also in the manufacturing hubs field, basically to support the war cause. There was a women regiment known as the Rani of Jhansi Regiment, which was formed by Subhash Chandra Bose as part of INA in the Southeast Asia. It was formed on the 12th July 1943. Basically, teenage girls of Indian descent working in the Malayan rubber estate. They were trained very well by the Subhash Chandra Bose, and they actively taken part in the Imphal campaign. And also, their head was Captain Lakshmi Saigal. There was a women nursing corps also who used to look after the wounded or the injured soldiers in the hospitals. So the basic aim was to fight against the British Empire in colonial India with the Japanese assistance. Kalyani Sen was the first naval officer to be part of Royal Indian Navy as a second officer. And in 1992, first time women were inducted as officer in short service in Indian Army. Thereafter, in 2008, was the first time these women officers were given permanent commission. That too, that was only in the branch of legal and education. Thereafter, in 2018, first time women officers were inducted in Territorial Army. And in 2019, first time girls were recruited as soldier general duties in the Corps of Military Police known as CMP. And the first batch got passed out in the recent past from a CMP training center, Bangalore. Coming to the achievement of women officers in the armed forces, in 1976, Ali Sham was the first lady officer to be raised as a major general in the military nursing service corps. Thereafter, in 2007, for the first time in the world, 105 women contingent, they were deployed in Liberia as part of United Nations Peacekeeping Force. In 1993, Priya Jangan was the first officer to be commissioned from Officers Training Academy. On 26 February 2010, Lieutenant Colonel Mithali Madhumati, she was awarded Sena Medal for her exemplary courage shown during the militant attack on the Indian embassy at Kabul. And Madhuri Kanikar was the third woman officer to be of the rank of Lieutenant General in the Army Medical Corps. And Lieutenant Shilpi Gargmukh is the first officer to be commissioned in the Territorial Army. She is otherwise a chemical engineer from the ONGC. Now, talking about the Indian Air Force, Flight Lieutenant Anda is the first officer to get a commendation card during the 1965 war with Pakistan. In 1994, women officers were inducted as pilot in the supporting role. Gunjan Saxena and Srividya Rajan were the two officers who took part in the Kargil operation, and they flown in the combat zone. Flight Lieutenant Nivedita Chowdhury, she climbed Mount Everest in 2015. IAF opened women pilot officers and helicopter pilots with effect from June 2016, and Bhavana Kant was the first pilot officer. Squadron leader Minty Agrawal was the first officer to get YSM in the Air Force, and Padmavati Bandyopadhyay is the first officer to become Air Marshal in the medical branch in the Air Force. And squadron leader Deepak Mishra, she was the first lady to participate in Sarang team. Sarang team is the Air Force, so when they do the aerobats at Elanga Airfield in Bangalore, they showcase the aircrafts in the what you call various roles in the air. And Wing Commander Shalisa Dami is the first officer to get permanent commission in Indian Air Force. Coming to the Indian Navy, Dr. Puneet Arora is the first Vice Admiral in the medical branch. On 8 March 2008, a team of 6 women officers of the rank of Lieutenant Commander, they undertook an expedition called Navik Sena Parikram. It's based in a INSV Tarini, and on completion of this expedition, they were conferred Nari Shakti Puraskar for the women empowerment. And on 2nd December 2019, Sub-Lieutenant Shubhangi Swarup is the first officer to fly Dornier, the surveillance aircraft, coastal surveillance aircraft. And you should be surprised to know why Subhash Chandra Bose named Rani of Jhansi Regiment. After the 1857, that's the first war of independence, there was an English author who wrote an article that had there been more than 1,000 Jhansi Lakshmi Bai in India, British would have never conquered India. You can imagine the women empowerment at that time. Although Indian women are the epitome and also the embodiment of love and affection as a daughter, as a sister and a mother, but you should not take them granted. If you take them to the field of injustice and discrimination, there can be goddess Durga also. And also in the contemporary situation, there can be bandit queen like Phulan Devi if they are taken to the corner or if you bring injustice to them. So as I said initially, for the sustainable development of any nation, women empowerment is very essential. And the government and the non-governmental organization can and should do more in this regard. I finished. I request you to kindly subscribe after listening to me and also share with your friends. Jai Hind.